society that is quite capitalist and consumer driven in nature. And a lot of these things, I would say, go against Vedic philosophy. Even though people are generally kind and compassionate, but there's an underlying current, I would say, in our society today of consumption and wealth creation, and material wealth creation. So I guess I just wonder, as somebody who follows the Vedic philosophy, living in that society, it's sometimes quite challenging. I just wonder if in the Vedic philosophy there's any kind of hint, guidance, or help of how to navigate that situation. So even, for example, close family and close friends may be pursuing a very consumer-driven, materialistic lifestyle. Is there any guidance in Vedic philosophy of how to kind of manage that situation?
Yeah, very good question, and I appreciate it. In modern times, or this must have been in mind in all times, probably, how to balance our life. We have so many physical needs for our survival, etc. But a human being is, kind of, no human being will say, I am very happy all the time. There's always a sense of something missing in life. So, as if we want to complete something or fill in that sense of vacuum. So, that is always a challenge. And the question is, today's world is very materialistic and excessive consumerism, where we buy more things than we need, and we try to find happiness in objects. And the common man, the layperson, always probably is driven by, if I have a bigger house, then I'll be happy. If I have a new car, then I will be happy. So rather than seeking happiness, he is seeking things, and his happiness is like conditional. If I have got something new which I don't have, then I will be happy. But it doesn't have to be like that. And in Vedic philosophy, there is nothing wrong in material possessions as long as you are the master, you are the owner. So, to sum it up, if you eat to live and not that you live to eat, then you can balance it out. So, in a Vedic way to look at it, we are all supposed to be active human beings. This is called as karma yoni. We have to do something, you know. And of course, the nature's gift is air and water. That is very essential for our survival. But food has been made as something we have to make some efforts to grow food. And that's where our actions begin. But today, in the materialistic society, very few, very small percentage of people are in the business of farming and so on and so forth. So a whole lot of new kind of professions have come into existence, but nothing wrong in that. We can all be doing whatever makes us feel good and is commensurate to our knowledge and skill. But at the end of the day, if I know it, that I know I need certain things for my survival, and for my happiness. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to feel good. So that thing, what we can call as happiness, is to be obtained from very inner sense. So that requires a kind of maturity. And that's what Vedic philosophy can help anybody in getting that mature outlook. So if I were to show you a slide, maybe that helps you to um, convey my ideas. And so just trying to bring that slide in share screen mode. Yeah. So from Vedic philosophy, you know, what it teaches us is the entire universe can be seen as they are coexisting continuum, you know, like within the water, there is some air is also there. So air and water coexist. So if you look at it that way, there is a 5 coexisting continua in the universe, maybe more maybe, but let's look at the 5 of them. So so there is 5 layers in this pyramid. So pyramid is just a picture notionally, as if it gives an idea that a human being ought to grow in this direction. But otherwise, these are 5 coexisting continua. So very basic is the matter, which is there everywhere as we see it: air, water, and even in atmosphere on the earth, and all the man-made things. So basically, all the man-made things are made of matter. Mm. And then we have at a second level, I will say there are certain forces that make them cyclic. Man-made things don't exhibit any cyclic behavior. Once I have made a wooden desk, with time it will only degrade, is it not? And that degradation is until it is totally decomposed, and then it is no more probably in many, many millennia probably. So everything vanishes. So man-made things are in this category. But let's look at, for example, plants and trees. Then they also have matter, like there's a lot of wood in the trunk of the tree, but the tree as a whole exhibits some cyclic feature. Over a year, some leaves fall down, new leaves come in the spring, and also over a day, 24 hours, due to chlorophyll, the leaves are absorbing carbon dioxide and leave out oxygen. So this life force is working non-stop, some in a cyclic nature. It is not only degradation, there is a up and down thing. Now let's look at the animals, birds, and you know. Now as you go up in the ladder, an animal has material body. It exhibits the cyclic non-voluntary forces like breathing and heartbeats, etc. Plus, it has a domain where it can experience an event and isolate and oscillate between joy and pain. So, an animal is in this category. A human being is in this category where we have all these 4 layers. The 4th layer is our intellectual functioning, like this particular discussion, where we are looking at how to go out of the trap of consumerism and seek more out of life. So we are slightly more than animal, where we are not happy with just in a level field. We want to upgrade our level and exploring all kinds of possibilities like in this discussion. So that is our intellectual faculty, where we are trying to come up with new ideas, new knowledge, etc., etc. Now there is a fifth layer, which is a very, it's a, imagine a happiness, so to say. But this is what is, all other happiness is nothing but a state of our mind. So if my mind is in a restless state, I am disturbed. If my mind is tranquil and calm, I am feeling good, you know. So I am now seeking, as a mature person, I am exploring, can I have a very superior level of happiness, if such a thing exists? And if it is there, how do I get it? So, in Vedic philosopher tries to take a clue from deep dreamless sleep, where mind was non-functional, and he might not have tasted a very a blissful thing, but he was at least away from any pain and suffering. So he says, let me explore that. And that's what is the meditation and all that he's trying to. And when he made certain progress in meditation, then he realized, this is a point where I have that state which was in deep dreamless sleep, but now I have felt it in my innermost domain. And here mind is not playing any role. So he realizes that there is an infinite ocean of super happiness, which is just to be, I need to somehow dive into it. And maybe I don't know how to dive into it. And if I learn to do that, and that's the technique of meditation, if I bring my mind calm, I disengage from my mind, then I find that I am in that ocean. And then that they gave a word, Anand, a very unusual word, you know. Otherwise, all sorts of pleasures and joys and happiness in our life can have negative counterpart also, because they are driven, I derive them from my mind, is it not? So this is beyond my mind. And then once I get focused towards this, then I know all other things are means and not the end. So as a consumer, what am I doing is, if I don't survive, I will not be able to go up in this ladder of pyramid. So then I realize my life is the means, all the learning, all the efforts I am doing so that I can jump from fourth to the fifth layer. And when I get that, that kind of puts me in another circle, that I begin to look at everything in its proper place, you know. Then I know it. Food has this relevance, uh, television, internet, everything are the means. And I want to be, because if you are master of your own mind, then it is very easy to become a master of any other thing or any other substance in life. So Vedic view is not to negate anything. Everything has its place. Everything has its importance. So nothing is bad. Even sex is good. I will say, if husband and wife wish to conceive a baby, so everything that one can think of has a rightful place. Nothing is bad, but you have to somehow come to a balance in its quantity and its timing. When is it relevant? In what quantity is it relevant? And how much is it essential? Yes, food is more important in the sense I should store it maybe 10 days, 15, 20 days supply, you know. So it won't be called as hoarding in the modern time when we have refrigerators, etc. So even fruits and vegetables can be stored for some time. So, this is, I think, if somebody has, that's what personally I would say, somebody has climbed up to this ladder, then gets an insight. And then I think it helps him to weigh everything in a proper, balanced manner and come to a conclusion what is relevant, what is not relevant, and at what time or so. Have I answered the question?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose what I was getting at more was people who have no interest in Vedic philosophy, for example.
Oh,
So what you've just explained makes perfect sense for people, myself, for example, who are interested and want to make that journey. But
yeah,
I think in the world we live in, almost the society
yeah,
acts to suppress a person's desire to want to progress in Vedic philosophy, for example. And I just wonder, when we interact with people,
yeah,
even Ashtanga Yoga
yeah,
is for people, the layperson, beginners.
yeah.
But even people may not want to do any of that because they don't see any reason to even start their journey. And is there anything in Vedic philosophy that says, okay, with those people, is there something they should be doing instead? Or is there, we can't just walk away from people
Yeah.
like that. We have to live with everyone together. I just wonder if Vedic philosophy, does it just start at people and assumes that even the layperson wants to start making a journey, or is this even a step before then? Or is it okay, there is a group of people who will never make this journey?
Yeah, I know this is a challenge. Even I am facing this challenge as a teacher, how to get people interested in it. But I think it is every individual's calling. If this is a teenager who is new in the world and is exploring all sorts of things in the world, and there are so many attractive things for him, I guess it is very valid for him to explore all that is within his scope, whatever his own monetary status allows him to check on. He wants to travel, he wants to go to restaurants, whatever a teenager would like to do it. But I think it requires some maturity in a layperson's mind. Somebody, or maybe he has to wait for an event in his life where things get shattered or there is a devastation, or but common sense would say it like you don't have to smoke to know that smoking will lead to nicotine in your lungs and then it will harm your health. If you see others going through that, then it should be enough of a warning for you. So, people are at different stages. Some people, let's take the smoking for example. Some people get into it and then learn very late that they have harmed themselves. And then they feel that they have become addicted to nicotine and they are even unable to withdraw. They are helpless. And then there is somebody who can see such a person and get a lesson of life that, look, I don't want to become a slave of this little white stick. It's everybody has a different level of maturity. So one can see that a person is suffering because of cancer, because of nicotine, because of smoking. And even at a young age of 50, he looks frail as if he's 85 or so. So, you can see him and learn from him. Otherwise, you go through that process, maybe you learn before you became chain smoker or before you got addicted. If it was in the early phase, you might even be able to withdraw. And then there is somebody who is learning even without smoking. So the society has all levels of people, and we don't want to judge them. We, you know, so it is about smoking, it is about drug, it is about getting into sex also, and especially what a woman has to go through because of decision she has to go for abortion or not. Of course, the man can easily walk away, but all sorts of issues are there in the society. And say if I was 18 or 20-year-old, if I have the awareness, so I need to think that it's not everybody is joyous and happy in the world. So even there are multimillionaires and billionaires, they don't claim to be happiest people. So I will say, even from layperson's perspective, it should not be you don't have to be a great scientist. You just have to see that joy, pleasure, and happiness is something more than what money can bring, and what then one can explore what are the sensual pleasures and what are the inner pleasures of life. So I know this is a very tricky thing, how to get people interested in Vedic way of life, which we claim to be holistic, and he is on a very low level. I shouldn't characterize it a low level, I will say. He is just after the sensual pleasures, so to say. But it doesn't, I don't think you have to be a great scientist to realize that sensual pleasures are not the end of the world. There will be a time when objects of pleasures will be in your easy reach, but you cannot enjoy them, is it not? And then there are some objects of pleasures like smoking, we took it, or alcohol or drugs. They are very tempting, but then you become dependent on them, and then you are unable to withdraw. So life is full of all these issues. I myself don't have a good answer to this question, that how to impress upon a layperson and convince him that he should explore, say, Ashtanga Yoga or Vedic way of life or something like that. I guess everybody has to have his own journey. Everybody's calling is different. So even I feel like I got into Patanjali meditation probably when I was in 40s. So I wish it happened earlier. But I had a very strange upbringing where I went more in a theoretical direction. So unless I was very thorough in Sankhya and Yoga philosophy, so so my theory was, but then I feel I am now more balanced. But no, who knows? We were balanced. It is at the end of the, that's life for everybody. But sure, we are trying our best. But I don't know, layperson. is everybody's calling is different, I think. If you have an idea, then but this is the same question in my mind also. How to get
Yeah,
the
I think
lay
you've just
person engaged?
explained it. Yeah, I think you've probably just hit the nail on the head, which is that if you think about many lifetimes, maybe somebody in this lifetime maybe doesn't reach sufficient maturity to begin this kind of journey, but maybe in multiple lifetimes later, maybe something happens that pushes them onto it. And even as a society and on a global scale or a national scale, even same thing, the leaders we have in place today, maybe in centuries time there'll be a different emphasis on how they govern a country in the world. So maybe it's just literally a feature of our era, so to speak. And maybe things will come round cyclically, as we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, I think you have said it very right. We have our own time scale. We think it should happen in 5 years, 10 years, but things move in its own manner. Like let's take slavery for example. Today it looks very horrible. How one human being can trade as another human being as a commodity, is it not? And selling and buying and then owning a human being as a slave. But that was prevalent maybe a couple of centuries ago. But the society as a whole has come out of it. And today we are struggling with, we have harmed, say, the ozone layer, and now we are wondering how to undo that. And now ecological aspect. So, there is a time, I won't be surprised the question and issues that we are discussing at this moment, that becomes maybe the prevailing thing in 20 years from now, maybe. Who knows it, you know? At least in the Western world where there are more people with haves than have-nots, there, I think young people are, no, let's say, why are they looking at vegetarianism? Or why are some people getting interested in meditation? Because they have fulfilled their physical needs and now they are trying to achieve something more, you know. So, but of course, if I go to a poor country and in the slum area and I start talking Ashtanga Yoga, then I think it is out of place because their primary problem is uh, 2 square meals a day, so to say, is it not? So I think there is time for everything, and that's what the leadership is. So if we should look ahead of time, but not so far ahead that people cannot even catch up. But I am sure today the humanity is walking on a positive path. Young people are turning to vegetarianism, which is nothing but love and compassion, where you feel hurt by others' pain, is it not? Because you don't want to cause pain to an animal or bird for your selfish taste or such a gain when the other alternatives are there. And people are getting exploring more than the sensual pleasures, inner happiness. That's why they are doing meditation, is it not? So, of course, meditation also, don't want to criticize anything, but Ashtanga Yoga takes to that's why I say it's a comprehensive package. Otherwise, most of the people today doing meditation is just to so that they are away from day-to-day stress of life and they are a bit calm, which is all good, but they are not trying to see beyond their mind. So that's why the term that has become prevalent is mindfulness. And we are using philosophy of Sankhya and Yoga by Kapil and Patanjali, which is directing us to go disconnection from mind. So when I disconnect from mind, of course, the term mindlessness is a bit crude term, but just to emphasize that there is more to do beyond mindfulness. So I am sure with time people are going to absorb these ideas. It will take time because it has to go step by step. You are climbing up the hill, which is a tedious exercise and has to happen step by step. Coming back to the previous thing, I see an example. I am sure everybody is aware of some individuals. The reason I say this, those 5 layers and all, why I am saying is that is the holistic development, because there are cases where people were leading a life filled with sensual pleasures, but they themselves had a calling and they moved out of it. There is much less example where people have gone other way around and they have celebrated their life. Is it not? One particular example I have is one person, a young man. His name was Munshi Ram. So this is from our Arya Samaj history. So this person, Munshi Ram, became Swami Shraddhanand one day. So this Munshi Ram, you think of when he's a college student, there was hardly any wrong thing he might not have done. You know, um, enjoying meat, alcohol, company of this, and somebody at that age may even patronize a prostitute, but he did worse than that. He even raped a married woman, So that is worse than visiting a prostitute. So there is hardly any wrong thing you would think, and he didn't do that in his youthful stage. But then suddenly he meets this Maharishi Dayanand and has some conversation. And then that changes his life. And then he goes in the other direction, is it not? So what I'm saying is, you are driven by sensual pleasures, and then comes a moment of calling, and then you go to some more mature inner happiness, which is more lasting. Because sensual pleasures can never be more lasting, is it not? They have very limited lifetime. And so he changes the path. And then because he has been on both the paths, he is saying, now I am choosing this. But there are very few people who would have changed from this to that, the point I am trying to make. So, we are not trying to say just that this is Vedic way of life is the best life. But I think there are occasions where people have changed their line of journey at a point of calling, and then they feel that they are on a more celibate, life is more a celebration now, not other way around. So we don't want to be judgmental, but still we would like people to explore other. That's why, even there have been cases in my time. Some people, for example, a person came and he, on the very first day, he said he enjoys eating chicken, and then he had an apprehension. He asked me this question: if I learn meditation, will I still be enjoying chicken? That was a difficult question for me to answer. Because at the very end of it, I knew it, he will stop eating chicken when he does meditation, because that makes you natural, and then your taste changes, your personality changes. I knew the answer, but I told him, look, I don't know what will happen next, but and I will say you will enjoy your life more. So it's a, he at least has a partial calling, though he had a certain set norms that chicken is something that is good for him, his taste. But let me explore meditation. But he had a fear that this will get away from him. But that's the thing one has to. Are you after that object of pleasure, or you are after the happiness? So that is something somebody has to think about that. So it's a very interesting question and discussion, but it's very difficult also. And yes, you made a good point that there is a time when society as a whole, now in the view of this pandemic, people are, everybody's asking. So there will be, if you don't choose the right path at an individual or at a society or national level, then nature has its own way to teach you. After all, you have to be aligned with the superior forces. Otherwise, there are more powerful forces in the world. What else would you like to comment?
No, I think we've covered it. I think as you made the point, we'd like to do things now and change things straight away, and that's just impatience on our part. We have to accept that there's a path. It's a long time. The Earth is 4 point something billion years old, so and nature is probably timeless. So we just have to do what we can with our small portion of time, and everyone else has their portion, and we just have to hope society, as you say, aligns towards nature at some point.
Yeah, very right. In the process, we are also being tested by some superior forces, how much patience we have, or how steadfast we are. Are we going to give up or what? So I think that's life for everybody. So thank you very much for joining me, and we'll meet again hopefully next week. Thank you again. Bye.